Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of the Coaches Show. I'm Lloyd Shoemaker and along with the Coach Bill Neese here, we want to welcome you to tonight's program. Our main sponsor, of course, is First Choice Paint and Body Shop on North 25A here in Piqua, Ohio. If you get a dent in your car and want to put it back together, that's the place you want to stop and have it fixed. We also want to thank our halftime sponsors, Coverman Staley Dickerson Insurance, in partnership now with Buckeye Insurance Group here in Piqua, Ohio. They're co-sponsoring the Coaches Show, and of course, Coverman Staley Dickerson Insurance, an independent agent, has 3 offices, one in Troy, one in Covington, and one in downtown Piqua. Coach, the coin toss, I'm not sure if we won or they won, but we got the ball the second half, which I knew played right into your plan. And the only thing we needed now was some momentum going into the third quarter, and we got that with the interception. We'll get back to that in just a little bit, but I just wanted to point out to you again that deferring is really a good thing for us in most cases.
Works out pretty well for us. I thought as we started off the game, it gave us, again, we like, it's easier to simulate one of the other reasons why we do it, and I talked to other coaches and they kind of agree too, is it's easier to simulate another team's offense, or excuse me, their defense and their offense. So it's kind of like you want to get out there and test the waters immediately with their offense to see if you can keep up with them speed-wise. And although Vandalia went down on a 14-play drive and scored, we felt coming out of that drive, and it proved to be true later on in the course of the game, we just felt we could hang with them speed-wise and physical-wise. We just, gave up, an unfortunate drive there toward the end.
Yeah, well, they ended up scoring in that first series of theirs from I think it was a pass on 1st and goal from our 4, and the point was good, so it was 7-0 at that point. But there were 2 key plays in that series. Okay, you had them 3rd and 10 on our own 28 offsides. Now it's 3rd and 5. Very next play, pass play out to the flat, home side, tipped it, caught it.
Yeah.
I thought, holy cow.
Yeah, well, there was just a couple. That was probably as multiple of a defensive game plan as we've had in a while in terms of running some different things, and also in that first quarter or that first drive, and one time in the second drive, you saw them use a man in motion, and when they used the man in motion, we did not flip. What you have to do is you have to completely flip-flop what your blitz call is and what your coverage call is, based on where that second receiver is, and they turned it over. If you'll notice, a couple times that guy went out in the flats and he was wide open in the flats, and both of those were coverage mistakes on our part that, to our kids' credit, they corrected and they did not make the same mistake after that.
Yeah, well, I thought prior to that offside, you had just stuffed them on 2 running plays up the middle.
Yeah, our guys came out and really played well. I thought from the defensive standpoint, I thought they came out and played an excellent game.
And I have to agree with you. I thought they did a very good job also. That Martin kid, 225 pounds, if that's what he weighs, he is a thunder in there, isn't he?
Big kid. The tailback was a great, the other tailback was a great compliment to him. They had the speed. And then, the Crane kid is a very poised quarterback. He sits back there, does his fakes, sits in the pocket, and delivers the ball.
Yeah. A talented club. We talked about this last week. They lost those games by a total of 11 points. To 2 of the 3 teams they lost to were undefeated. Yeah,
they lost. Their 3 losses were to 3 combined teams that were 14-1.
30 seconds later, we're on the board. Just explosive, just bang, there we go.
Bang, go, and then right back to work on defense. And the thing is as long as everything's gone good, you still have that momentum. So everything was going good. The defense, there was no grumbling, there was no this. Everybody was happy. Points get on the board. That's the biggest momentum that you can have in high school football is that scoreboard. Whether or not you're close, whether or not you're not close.
Well, the defense, I felt sorry for them for a while because it didn't even seem like they had time to go over and sit down.
Yeah, it was a Brandon Sane deal. You get in there, this good news, bad news. Good news is tied, bad news is it only took 14 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I think the second touchdown was like 1.5 minutes. It was pretty quick also, but that first touchdown for us was another honeycut deal, swing pass out in the flat.
Just took off.
Took off,
made a guy miss, and we had changed the blocking, out on the perimeter, and we took our wide receiver and brought him in and cracked him on the outside on the outside linebacker, and Tate came around and the guy was unblocked him. He's just one-on-one, and I know his coach is probably sitting there Saturday saying all you have to do is tackle him.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's easier said than done.
Yeah, the defensive guy says all he has to do is catch him, right?
Yeah.
Got to catch him
get
first.
close to him.
Yeah. Well, Tate did a good job all night long getting us into position where we had a chance to go score,
Yeah,
but it
he
just
did. He
didn't work out that way. Vandalia gets good field position following a kickoff. It's now 1st and 10 from their 42. That was probably the worst kick we had all night as far as field position for them getting.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a breakdown with our guys on that side, and we were able to correct it. The next 2 times we kicked off, the same 2 guys that had a breakdown ended up and made tackles.
Yeah. Well, it took them less than 3 minutes to score the second touchdown. Vandalia Butler, the Martin kid, the 6'2", 225, according to the program, scores up the middle from our 6-yard line. It's now 14-7. Did that concern you that they were able to score that second time in just a short period of time?
No. I honestly, as the game progressed, we really felt we had a good handle on what we needed to do. We knew our defensive line was big enough that they would be able to physically handle and stay in there.
Did you guys run any kind of chemical test on the water after the ball game?
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're just. I mean, all of a sudden we got the yips with the football.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever experienced something like that in the course of my career. That I just kept thinking, okay, this is the last time that this is it. It can't happen anymore. And it reminds me of the history story that we always do with when the Archduke got shot before World War I. They had an assassination attempt and it failed. Mm-hmm. So he continued on with the parade. He said, well, that was their big shot. It's not going to happen again. Little did he know there were 7 other assassins waiting for him. And it's the same thing that happened here. I mean, I said, okay, this bad thing's going to happen. We'll overcome it. We did. Yeah. And then the next bad thing, and we were still thinking that that last 2 minutes we could go down there and play that darn thing in overtime or get it in overtime.
Well, I was thinking the same thing, but then we just kept coughing it up and snapping it wrong and stuff. And I didn't realize until I came out of the press box and started for the parking lot how windy it was. Mm-hmm. Did the wind have any effect on any of those snaps on punting?
I don't know. Both of the people that were involved, didn't really say anything about the wind. Mm-hmm. I don't think they carried. It seemed like we're just in a position where one was too high, one was too low, and sometimes I don't think the wind would have anything to do with that. I think it's more of a sideways type deal.
Okay, because it certainly, like you say, it certainly didn't ease up all night long, and then I thought, well, maybe the defense is lining up a little bit different, and it's distracting us because we're trying to figure out where to block, but. Boy, between the snaps to the quarterback and the snaps to the punter, and
we lost. I think the offensive coaches told me we went up and lost 8 plays that were just dead, from a bad snap. So that's eight plays that we had a possibility of doing something, and then I think they said that 6 other ones were affected. Ball here, something like that. One time Rupert actually caught it, and he had to it was a broken field. It was a great first down for us, but. We didn't get lucky all the time.
Well, that begs a good question. How many plays do you normally run in a ball game?
Well, we'll normally run in the neighborhood of 65 to 70, which means that put us down into the 50s. Yeah. I mean, that's almost like losing, 2 full ball possessions a game.
Yeah. Well, we exchanged possessions with Vandalia. Clemens had a couple of nice runs during our last scoring drive on the first half. Had a touchdown called back. Yeoman had one called back. It was 40-some yards.
Yeah. It was a great run. And it was just one of the examples of a wide receiver. We thought it was a great block. I thought it was a great block. Their wide receivers were blocking the exact same way on us, and unfortunately it was called, and it comes back.
Yeah. Well, with 10:10 to go in the second quarter, a swing pass again out to Honeycutt. This time from Vandalia's 34, touchdown, point after good, 14-14.
And they were throwing the same bubble we were throwing. And one of the things that we talked about at halftime was very simply this: let's not get impatient, because their bubble's gone for 5 yards, and then we're tackling it. Mm-hmm. Our bubble was going for touchdowns. Yeah. And we knew we had that situation fairly well in hand.
Well, what did your coaches see up in the box on that defense that was allowing you to call that play and have confidence that it was going to work every time?
Well, we just thought that they had some inexperience at their corners, and we were able to, the experience they had was that they're outside linebackers, and usually on that play, most of the people that run that play, like when they ran the play against us, they left our outside linebacker unblocked, and they try to get in a foot race with the outside linebacker going out, and then they take the 2 outside receivers and they block the corner. Well, we just did the opposite. We took our outside receivers and brought them in to block what we thought were the better players brought it out, and then put him in a foot race with an inexperienced corner.
Yeah, so you had your better player on the
Yeah,
inexperienced
it was
guy.
just a matter of where you want the mismatch.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I tell you, the next thing I got on here, 2:13 left in the second quarter, the unthinkable happens. Yeomans goes down. What's the status?
Status right now, he went in for an MRI today, and there's no real internal damage, and he should be ready to go within 7 days.
So what was the injury?
The injury was he just had a bruising. He dislocated. I don't know all the exact medical terms, but I believe that the kneecap was slightly dislocated. It was put back in without any damage. There was no damage internally to the knee. It was just merely a bruise. Sunday, and I know we're taping this Monday, Sunday he was in with the doctors and had a decent amount of movement, had a decent amount of mobility. And then today, Monday, he went in and had his MRI and had a red already. So it was great news for us.
Good. Well, Clemens came in and did a pretty good job. And another thinking about Clemens in that first half, obviously they were really keen on Yeomans. Everybody's keen on Yeomans now. But you went to a two-back set, and that seemed to cause some confusion for him.
Yeah. Well, it gives you a little bit more, it opens up the playbook a little bit more too. You get two backs in there, all of a sudden, not only are you doubling the amount of plays you have, but there's a lot of different variety of plays. You can get a lead back, you can get a guy out of the backfield running your bootlegs, you can get a little bit more misdirection.
Yeah. Well, he did a good job, and of course, we certainly wish Trent well in recovery and hope to see him back on the field just as soon as he is ready to play at 100%.
Definitely.
We don't want to take any chances with him. Well, the first half ends with a score tied at 14 each, and as I said before, the interception by Derek Gullett, 6 foot, 188-pound junior, on a 4th and 10 pass play from our own 20, puts a little giggle into our step heading into the locker room.
Oh yeah, and they were down there close. I mean, I didn't realize how close they were until I watched the film then, because we were playing so well and we were blitzing, and the one time they had a little bit of an offsides, they had a hiccup, and we came back and ran the same blitz again. We debated, should we run the blitz? Are they going to run a screen? We decided to go ahead and run the blitz, and we got them again on it. We changed the coverage a little bit, and I don't want to act like that we're like some geniuses, but we just were able to, once we get we had almost everybody in our defense healthy Friday night, which meant we were able to do a lot of different things. And one of the things we could do was adjust Derek Gullett, and he worked his way back into the center of the field from his outside linebacker position because he's fast enough to do that, and he was able to pick off a post pattern coming over the middle, which probably would have been completed if he wasn't able to do that.
I think it would have been, because I remember seeing the guy coming across there, and I'm thinking, whoa, he's pretty open, and then all of a sudden, Derek shows up.
Well, and that's a tribute to the Vandalia coaches too, because obviously they watched the Northmont film, and they saw the two post was in fact open. Then we didn't have Derek at the time. Now we're able to to spin that defense back and take advantage. So it's just one of those little things that makes coaching fun.
Well, and then going in again with that excitement of that interception just before the end of the first half, you're tied 14-14, you're coming out, you're getting the ball, and now you're going to figure you're going to go down and score, you're going to take the lead, and now you got to do is play defense. But we'll find out here in just a minute how it happened in the third quarter. We're going to take a break and go talk to a couple of young men at halftime. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome to our halftime show, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. We'll be back to the coach in just a minute. I want to thank our halftime sponsors, Coverman Staley Dickerson Insurance, along with Buckeye Insurance Group, our partners on the halftime show. We have with us today, we have Jack Smeezing on my left. We have the little fellow over here, the sophomore, who is 297 pounds. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And you're 6'4". 4. And it's Tristan Cox, right?
Yep.
You are a big dude.
Thanks.
And you play defensive line
Yeah.
all the time? You don't go back and forth the other side?
We used to, but now Brendan Fries goes full-time offense and I go full-time defense.
Okay, so are you a nose guard? Or you guys don't play a nose guard all the time, do you?
We don't really play a nose guard, but me and Jordan Taylor alternate who's in which spot.
Okay. Do you want to talk about last Friday night?
No, not really.
No, really? Well, I tell you what, most of the game, And I got to say, congratulations to the defense. You guys didn't fumble once.
Thank you.
I thought that was exciting. But you did play a pretty good game defensively,
Yeah.
although they beat on you pretty good just coming at you, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They're a pretty physical team.
Yeah. That Martin kid that scored the first touchdown, I think I got him in at 6'2", 225, 230. Did he run that big?
Yeah, he was pretty big running back. So.
Well, they're famous for their fullbacks. They're big running backs. A few years ago, we went down there, lost the game to them 7-0 fourth quarter, and they just beat us with their fullback all night long.
Yeah, they have a pretty big fullback, and they like to run him up the middle first as the lead blocker, then have their running back find a hole and do what he does best.
How many tackles did you have Friday night, you know?
I think I had 2.
2?
Yeah.
Did you get one of the sacks? There were a couple of sacks in there.
No, I wasn't part of those.
Okay. This guy over here is usually involved in the sacks, right?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He sneaks around the end because you're one of the defensive ends, right?
Yep.
And you're not that big for a defensive end normally, are you?
Nope.
What do you weigh?
About 186 on a good day.
I don't want to, Jiminy Christmas. Well, we haven't had any real large defensive ends anyway, but we've had them heavier than what you've been.
Yeah, we've had some big guys. Mike Haney graduated a couple years ago. He was pretty big defensive
Okay.
end.
So how did you end up out there instead of you look more like a linebacker?
Really, I think Coach Neese just saw something that he made him think that I could do it, and I've worked there since freshman year, and I try to keep getting better. So I really don't know how I got put there, honestly.
And you're a junior, and you over here just a little sophomore, but you've been starting now for 2 years.
Yep.
Is it just? Does this just come natural to you?
No, I mean, it does, but it's only because of the preparation that the coaches help us with.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we practice hard all week, and without the preparation, the game plan that they give us, it'd be difficult to get it done on Friday night.
Now, when you're out there do you play the same? So you play left side,
Yeah,
don't
I'm
you?
left side the entire time.
So you don't switch back and forth over there. But do you ever get in a down position?
All the time. I'm always in a 3-point stance
Oh, are
unless
you?
on a punt, and then I try to get a little advantage coming off the edge.
Okay, so when you're down in a 3-point stance and you're going against an offensive lineman that's probably 30, 40 pounds heavier than you,
Yeah.
how do you get around him?
Well, Coach Neese always preaches we need to get our hands on first, and that's
Yeah.
usually the guy who's going to win. So we practice all week, making sure that we get our hands out first, fire out, and our feet will follow. So I mean that's what I try to do, and then when it's pass rush, you just got to make a move, slap down his hands, and get around him.
Okay, now when you go around him on a pass rush, do you try to stay to the outside to keep the quarterback inside?
Yeah, we try to work the outside unless the offensive linemen, I mean, a lot of them like to open up, and that's when we'll try to bring it back under. But our job is to contain the outside, so we can't rely on the change of pace all the time.
How did you feel as far as defense was concerned on Friday night that you guys did on that unit?
I thought we did a really good job. I mean, Vandalia was a physical football team.
Yep.
And I thought we came prepared Friday night, and we did a really nice job. I mean, it stinks the way it ended, but I mean, overall, I think we played a tough game with just a couple things that need fixed, and we're going to work on it this week.
Well, you're right. They've always been a very physical team and usually a very good team. Their record, as a coach and I talked about last week, 1-3 going into that ball game, just did not really do justice to the kind of team that they are. They only lost by 11 points in those losses.
Right.
Well, this coming week we've got Greenville coming in. Is this homecoming week coming in?
No, it's the following week.
Following week, okay, because I've kind of missed out on what the schedule was. But what do you think? What do you think about Greenville coming in here?
Greenville, they got a pretty athletic quarterback. We'll have to keep him contained. It's definitely somebody that can, I don't want to say be an underdog that can pull the upset, but I mean, we got to prepare for him like anybody else.
Well, the good thing about Greenville coming in this week is that last week they beat Troy 14-0.
Right. Yeah, that's a big win for them.
Big win, big win. And you're looking forward to playing against Greenville this coming week. What do you know about their line, their offensive line you're going to be looking for?
We haven't really learned that much about them yet, but as the week goes on, we usually learn more about them, their size, what they like to do most of the time.
Okay. Now, do you do any other sports besides football?
I throw track. I throw shot put and track.
Okay. What about you?
I play baseball.
Oh, that's right. You do play baseball, don't you? All right. Well, listen, guys, thanks for being with us. We appreciate you being on the show. And we'll be back with the coach in just a second. Again, I want to thank Coverman Staley Dickerson Insurance, along with Buckeye Insurance Group, for being our halftime sponsor. Don't go away. I'm coming back with the coach in just a minute. Well, welcome back. Again, I want to thank our sponsors for the Coaches Show. The lead sponsor, of course, is First Choice Paint and Body Shop on North 25A here in Piqua, Ohio. And again, I want to thank our halftime sponsors and the opportunity to talk to the two young men. We had a sophomore and junior on at halftime this year, and of course, Coverman Staley Dickerson Insurance, along with partnership with Buckeye Insurance Group, for sponsoring the halftime show. Coach, second half, you hit the field, you got the ball coming. It didn't take long to give it back to them, did it?
No. And you know, it was kind of a one-sided nightmare for a little bit, in the fact that we missed a blitz, and either that or they had a great call, however you want to look at it, and Roop got hit while he was throwing what would have been a clear touchdown. And that's the frustrating part.
Yeah.
We had set up the hitch, and we went hitch and go, and it was there, and we weren't able to complete it, and they get the interception. And although the defense then comes back and plays well, it's just a prelude to some of the, obviously, bad sequence of events that's going to take place for the Indians here in the second half.
Yeah, well, you're right. The defense did come back and do a good job, because Vandalia starts at their own 49, and the defense holds them. It was fourth down attempt, and they didn't get the first down. We got the ball back.
Yeah, and again, we had a great pass rush. We were able to also mix in our 4-man rush, our 3-man rush, and be able to blitz. Ben Sowery does a heck of a job with the blitzes. Jarrett Toops was coming off the edge real well, and everything was just pretty much in sync. We just had to get that one touchdown. We just needed to get to 21, and we couldn't get to 21.
Yeah. Well, during that offense, Vandalia on the field, they had a 3rd and 20 from their own 41, and we sent everybody that came on the bus that night.
Yeah.
And they didn't throw it.
Yeah. Well, it was, we knew it was going to be one thing or the other. It was going to be a pass, or it was going to be their draw, because they don't run very much of a screen game. And, we brought everybody, and specifically we brought 2 of our inside linebackers right straight dead center, which would have, taken care of the draw. And sometimes it happens, and they ran right past.
Yeah.
Ran right past, and the guy was able to leak out. And, thankfully, our safety, sophomore Dylan Cole, was able to make what I think would be one of the big plays of the game for us, and that's a big open field tackle.
Well, we've talked about him before, being a sophomore and playing that safety position. He's turned out to be a pretty good player, isn't he?
He has. He is. He's really given us an advantage then, to be able to move our safety from last year, move him over to corner, and then be able to have 2 corners that we can play a little bit more man coverage with and be a little bit more tighter over there.
Yeah. Well, that's because you got more speed out there, right? More quickness.
Yes.
Well, we get the ball back at the 6:09 mark of the third quarter. Clemens finally takes it home with 1:46 left in the third, untouched up the middle. I mean, he was running hard.
He is tough to bring down.
Yeah.
He is tough to bring down. Got great forward momentum.
Yeah. And he doesn't need a large hole, because if somebody gets in his way, he has a tendency to make his own hole, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
If they try to take his feet out, that's different. But if they try to tackle him high, they're in trouble. So anyhow, we go up now 21-14. So you got your 21 points. The extra point again was good. The kicking's working well for us. Then things really got funky from there. Vandalia ties the game at 6:10 left in the fourth, and following our third bad snap, second during a punt attempt of the quarter in the game at 21, they had only 5 yards to go to score.
Yeah. And that's where we needed the defense. That's my my only complaint, that we weren't able to respond back. And I probably, looking on in retrospect, I probably should have taken a timeout, maybe calmed everybody down and set everything up. But they came out in more of a power type set, and they just rolled right at us. And they hadn't used a tight end at all the whole game. And we were lined up correctly, but I don't know technique-wise if we were ready to roll. I think at that point they had gone out there, and sometimes you can just tell. That was one where I thought it started to get maybe a little bit more slippery.
Yeah, well, they just didn't have a whole lot of time to get mentally prepared, physically probably, but not mentally prepared for what might be happening.
Yeah, that's why I think maybe a timeout would have helped.
Yeah. The previous bad snap on a punt, we actually did a good job defensively of stepping up and holding them to only 6 yards.
Yeah, we got out of that one. And so that's again, we got out of that, and so we're saying, okay, now we're all right. And really, we were, if at any point with with the lead we had after the first bad snap, if we would have just got a couple first downs, that thing would have been done. it would have been over.
Well, and they scored with still 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, so we're going to get the ball back. And we're going to go down the field. We're going to take whatever amount of time we take before we score. Usually 3-4 minutes off there would be good. You take that. 5-minute drive would be fine too. Honeycutt takes it all the way down to
Couldn't have asked for better field position. Tate comes out and gets us a short
38-yard
field.
line,
Yeah.
Vandalia.
Yeah. Well, there was when Tate did that, there was 0% of anybody on our sideline that didn't think we were going to win that game. I mean, it was 100%. 100% we're going to win the game. Yeah. It's an omen. We got the ball across here. I think Vandalia even knew it. And all we had to do is just play out the script.
Yeah. Well, we cough it up again. It was Vandalia. It was ball on the running of Hutchinson, and one pass play, they go 57 yards using 3 minutes of the remaining 5:55 to score. Now we're down 28-21, and we've got to figure out some way to score fast.
Right, and even then, and again, that was another defensive series that they ran the tight end orientated stuff, and again we did okay, but that was a situation where we need to get the ball back. We didn't need to give them a score and then get the ball back. They needed to get the ball back quickly. Yeah. Didn't do it, but again, I'm going to tell you what, I was on our sidelines, and it was the confidence level was, we'll go tie this thing and play overtime, or we may go tie it. We're already thinking about a 2-point conversion as a possibilities. So that was our thought process going into the thing, and then unfortunately we fumbled again.
You go down, you score a touchdown, you're down 27-28. You're telling me Bill Neese is going to go for 2?
I said we had a 2-point play ready to go in case Bill Neese decided that might happen. Not sure. The thing that had me a little skeptical was that what if they get the ball at the 20-yard line, they come out with the tight end offense again. But I think we would have had a little bit more time to talk about what we wanted to do defensively with that. So it's one of those things where we'll make you just kind of know what to do when you get there.
It's instinct.
Yeah.
Experience, 22 years of head coaching.
Yeah, and a lot of times if you're the person, Al Hetrick gave me his theory on that one night.
Okay.
And it took a long time to do it, but he gave me the theory on it because some other coaches everybody was talking about it. But the theory was that if you're the team that scores, you've got the momentum. Just boom, it's like no huddle. Just go right ahead and get to 2. So that's I guess that's the reasoning. Meaning that if you're the team that is the surprise team, and you go down and score, immediately jump on them. But if it's been a back and forth game, go ahead and kick it, and then regroup, take your chances. So I wasn't sure which of those teams we were at that point.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's very true. Which one are we? The one that's hanging on to the ball, the one that's not hanging on to the ball?
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a hypothetical. You go down there, you score. Your best running back is on the bench. Do you go with a 2-back set, or do you go with just one big guy back there with your mobile quarterback?
It would have been a 2-back set, and there would have been a big dose of 44 coming at him.
Yeah. Okay.
And probably, if we had to play overtime, that would be the good thing. We had a pretty good attack there. So
where's Quinn Piqua when you need him?
Yeah.
Well, what about Fries? Can Fries carry the ball?
I'll have to talk to him about that. We'll see. I'm sure he can.
Have to renegotiate his contract.
Yeah.
Well, we get the ball back, decent field position at Vandalia's 45, and completed pass that's fumbled again, and Vandalia runs out the clock. Final score 28-21. You think it kills us for the playoffs?
I don't know. 4 wins coming up. One of those, would obviously be the scenario that have to happen. And number 2, one of those 4 wins is going to be against a team that's got a lot of computer points. You never know. For the last 6 years in our region, there has been a 6-4 team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
There's been, so you don't know. You don't know if now. There's been some other 6-4 teams though that didn't make the playoffs. So it depends a little bit on if Urbana starts winning, which it looks like they're starting to win a little bit. If St. John's can get a little bit of a crease. Fairborn's on schedule maybe to win a couple. You never know.
Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
Well, fumbles, bad snaps, untimely penalties. Just too many of the bad things going against us Friday night.
Yeah, it was a tough one. It was a tough one for us.
Well, let's take a look at some of the stats from Friday night. We don't get into a lot of them, but I can't remember the last time that we had 42 rushing yards in a ball game according to GWalk stats.
Yeah, And it's not necessarily, and it really wasn't because of the fact that we were getting style. Although they played some good defense, it was the fact that we didn't have a lot of plays. There was, one of our scoring plays, one of our drives was 3 plays. We had, you talk about you don't want to have a 3 and out. We had less than 3 and outs a couple times. With the turnovers and stuff.
1 and 2s.
Yeah, we just did not have a lot of attempts. But no, I don't know that might not be a modern day record for the least amount of rushing yardage.
Yeah, 26 attempts on the night, only 10 first downs for us. This is the widest on time of possession I think we've had all year. 27 for them, 21 for us. The good thing I saw about Friday night was Dela Cruz hitting 82% of his passes.
Right, and he's like we said last week, he's the number 3 rated quarterback in terms of quarterback ratings in the GWAC, and that can only help but increase his ratings. Unfortunately, he did throw an interception, but I really can't fault the kid because he got hit. Yeah. It was going to be a touchdown, and he got hit just as he threw, and the ball went straight up in the air.
Clemens had 10 attempts for 61 yards, an average of 6.1 on the night. That's pretty good. We'll take that every night, but just the total yardage of 42 was not good. Kickoff, Tate averaged 43.5. He is just, what game was it now? Was it Fairborn game he ran the one back for the touchdown? He just seems to be in a groove right now.
He is.
He's in a groove. He's hesitating coming up with that ball. You got your blockers going down the right. You always go to the right side?
No.
Okay. Well, whatever side you're going down, you're getting the blockers out there in front of him, and he's just kind of trotting around back there until he sees that crack and accelerates. He just kicks.
He's very patient, letting that wall set up. And against Northmont, there was a couple shots really that it looked like it would have been there, but we got there too soon.
Yeah.
And that he went in there. And Rick Krejci's our kickoff return coach. And he went in there and harped on it, and he got those guys to be a little bit more patient, and it's worked out.
Yeah. In that case, patience does work.
Yeah, we just don't necessarily like to see our kick return team that often on the field.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, 43.5 yards per kickoff return for Tate, and did a good job there. Honeycutt also led the receivers with 99 yards. Bachman had 4 for 39. Yeomans 1 for 3. Noah Gertner 1 for 17. Lyman 3 for 27. I had, was it 2 sacks you had, or did you have more sacks than that?
I had 4.
4 sacks? Well, GWAC only gave you credit for 2. Taylor and Toops were the ones they gave credit to, but Toops had a total of 10 solo tackles on the night, according to GWAC.
Huge night, yeah. And that's exactly what our statistics had. We had 10 tackles on him. Jordan Taylor actually was the guy that had 2 quarterback sacks. Ben Sowery had 1 of the quarterback sacks. But our 3 linebackers, I think, if you turn back to the page, I think our 3 linebackers, our starting 3 linebackers led us in tackling, which is definitely how, the design of the whole thing. And then you throw Ben Sowery in with 5 more solos. That's quite a lot of tackles for a group of 4 linebackers.
Yeah. Well, listen, we got the scores from last Friday night in our division, the North. Greenville 14-0 over Troy. They are really suffering down there, aren't they, in Troy? I mean, we make fun of them. I make fun of them. You don't make fun of them. I make fun of them about it. But talking to some people down in Troy, they are really concerned that they're even going to win a game this year.
Oh, really? Well, if it gets up to game 9, hopefully they won't.
Yeah. Who else we got here? Fairborn got wiped out by Springboro 42-0. Trotwood scored 80 against Sydney's 21. That was probably over at Trotwood, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe it was a home game for Trotwood.
And then Northmont 41, Beaver Creek 26. In the league right now, in our conference in the North, Trotwood's 5-1, Butler's 2-4, Greenville's 2-4, we're 3-3, Sydney's 2-4, Troy's 0-6, and we've got Greenville coming in here Friday night. 14-0 over Troy. It's nothing to really brag about when they haven't won anything, but what are you looking for out of Greenville?
Greenville's a pretty solid defense. They have, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4. They have about six solid kids back on defense. They have a lineman that's very good, real good penetrator, and all 4 of their linebackers are back. So they've got some solid kids. Offensively, they have a quarterback that was the, I believe, second-team GWAC quarterback last year. Taller kid. I don't know
thought
how
he was injured.
Pronounce it. He's back.
He's back.
Yeah, he's back. He sat out some games, and his first game was against Troy. So he's back. He's a great dual threat for them.
Yeah,
he can run, he can throw, he can put the ball in the money. So he does a lot of good things ball fake wise, and he's a fun quarterback to watch. as long as you're not playing him.
Yeah.
You know, when you got to defend him, it's a little bit different.
Well, he's if I remember right, he's about 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", isn't he?
Yeah, he's a tall
kid,
guy,
I don't know how
about
he's done
100,
weight-wise
about
this year.
170 pounds, I would
Okay,
assume.
So still on the light side. So, what about their running backs? You got anything to
Well,
worry
yeah,
about?
running back, they kind of do the Vandalia Butler thing with they'd bring a couple of linebackers over and play them at fullback, and then they have a tailback that's a sophomore this year that's about 185 pounds. Gets out there and has good speed. And, you know, they'll run the football, run their ISO, they have kind of two different offenses. They'll run some power stuff and that type of deal, and then they'll spread the field and go no backs and you know, let the quarterback just make some good decisions and see if they can come up with some plays.
All right. Anything you want to say special about our special teams that we haven't talked about?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Go home and enjoy your supper. All right.
Appreciate it.
We want to thank you guys for being with us tonight. And again, thank our sponsors, First Choice Paint and Body Shop, Coverman Staley Dickerson Insurance, along with the Buckeye Insurance Group here in Piqua. We'll see you next time.